Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Bandits. I'm Austin and this is Brian, and we're going to be talking about another week of college football. We're also going to be talking about the baseball playoffs. The League Championship Series were set last night, if you didn't know, and so we'll discuss that. But first, we're going to start with college football. First matchup we're looking at is out of the Big Ten. Ohio State is at Wisconsin. Brian, what do you see going on there?
Well, in this game, Ohio State is questionably the number one team in the nation. They've been voted that in the AP and the coaches poll. But when the mock BCS came out, they had dropped down to 5, causing some slight alarm at the Ohio State campus. But I really think in this game, they're going to come out trying to prove that they are the number one team in the nation. And I think the big key for them in this game is to quiet the student section quickly. I think their defense needs to step up and stop this very dynamic Wisconsin offense. And I think that Terrell Pryor needs to come out and score early, and if they can quiet the student section early, I think they've got a really good chance at winning this game.
Well, I feel Wisconsin's offense seems to be more focused on running the ball. They nearly had twice as many rushing attempts as passing attempts this year, and I think that they're going to need that to continue and have success with that for them to win this game. John Clay and James White, the running backs, have 17 combined touchdowns this year rushing, and they're going to need to do that against Ohio State. And their loss a couple weeks ago to Michigan State, they forced 3 turnovers, but they were not even able to get 300 yards of offense. They were 3 of 11 on third down. And so that's what killed them. They were able to create turnovers. Usually winning the turnover battle plus 3 will win you a football game, but not in this case. They're going to need to capitalize on turnovers, and they're going to need to try to slow down Terrell Pryor, who's obviously a Heisman hopeful right now. And obviously try to get out to an early lead and channel that student section, channel their fan base, and get loud and make it difficult for Ohio State to hear.
Speaking of Heisman candidates, our next game features the ever-popular quarterback from Arkansas, Ryan Mallett, and playing at Auburn this week. Austin, how do you think Arkansas can win this game?
Well, Auburn is undefeated this year, but it's been a lot of close games. Against Clemson and in their 3 conference games, none of them have been decided by more than 8 points. So this has been really close. Auburn's been living on the edge for a while, and I think Arkansas has the ability to put them over that edge and give them their first loss. Auburn's quarterback, Cameron Newton, really is everything for their offense. He's their leading rusher. He's their leading passer. He does everything. He has 9 touchdowns already this season, just rushing. And his dual threat ability is what makes the Auburn offense work and what makes it scary. So the Arkansas defense obviously needs to focus on Cameron Newton, try to slow him down, try to stop him. If they can do that, then their defense gives Ryan Mallett a chance to win the game.
In this game, I really think it's important for Auburn. Their motto this year has been, bend but don't break. In this game, I think when you're facing Ryan Mallett, you're going to bend eventually. He has lived up to his name this year, and he has hammered his opponents for many yards, and he's just been putting a hurt on every team he's played. And I really think that Auburn needs to slow him down, and if they can take him slightly out of the game, he's going to have big plays. He's just that good of an athlete. And I think if Auburn can limit the big plays by Mallett, then they will have a chance to slow down the Arkansas offense and put them away in this game.
Probably the biggest matchup out of the Big 12 this week. Texas travels to Lincoln to take on Nebraska. The NCAA recently released a press release and said this game will be played with 60 minutes on the clock. So, Brian, how do you think Nebraska will win this game?
Well, I think for Nebraska, they want to make sure that Texas can't win even if they're given an extra second. So, I think they need to jump out early, and I think they will jump out early and often on Texas here. They've been looking forward to this game all year. Texas is down. Nebraska's defense is very dynamic and just very powerful. I really think that Garrett Gilbert will have a lot of trouble in this game, and that the Nebraska defense at home can help slow down and cause a lot of problems for this Texas offense. On the other side of the ball, you have Taylor Martinez, who has been Denard Robinson-like in the games that we've seen him play this year. He's very dynamic, a very fast rusher, and a great passer. And I really think that Texas defense is going to have a hard time slowing down that dynamic offense, and then is going to have an even harder time putting points on the board. And I really think Nebraska can jump out early and often in this game.
Well, we're beginning to see a trend of quarterbacks that can rush the ball. Cameron Newton, like we mentioned with Auburn. And now to Nebraska with Taylor Martinez. He's a dual-threat quarterback. He only has 3 passing touchdowns on the season compared to 12 rushing. Last week he was 5 of 7 passing, but still had 128 yards. So obviously his rushing ability has really opened up their pass game when they choose to pass the ball. And for an experienced UT defense, that's going to be their key. They got a lot of seniors and juniors that have played this game, and that they've been able to stop really good quarterbacks before, and that's what they're going to have to do if they want to have a chance to win this game. And for the UT offense, it's very young, it's very inexperienced, and they're going to have to play up to the limelight. It's going to be a very raucous crowd. They're going to be very excited and into this game, and they're going to want to get revenge for last year's Big 12 championship game. And so for that, Garrett Gilbert is going to have to step up and play like a senior, and for UT to have a chance to win this.
Our last game today is number 17 Iowa traveling to the Big House to play one-loss Michigan, who dropped from the rankings after a mediocre performance, to say the least, against Michigan State. Austin, how do you think that Michigan can win this game?
Well, I think we're really seeing a trend now. Denard Robinson, also another quarterback, great rushing the ball. I mean, he's pretty good throwing the ball, but he didn't really have a good game last week. He had 3 interceptions. He only had 1 on the season coming into that game against Michigan State. And he's going up against the best points against defense in the NCAA in Iowa this week. So Denard Robinson is going to be really important this week for Michigan. On the other side of the ball, Ricky Stanzi, Iowa's quarterback, he's a very good passer. And so for Michigan's defense, you're going to have to try to, which has been pretty mediocre this year, they're going to have to try to stop one of the better quarterbacks in this league.
I think the big key for Iowa in this game is, again, to stop the quarterback. If they can slow down Denard Robinson and keep him from maybe even being one-dimensional or just keeping him almost zero-dimensional, then I think that they will have a very good chance to win this ballgame. Ricky Stanzi is a great quarterback, and I really feel that if they can slow down Denard Robinson, he will have enough ability to give them enough points to put away Michigan at the Big House and give Michigan their second straight loss, and both of them at home.
Moving on to our picks, Wisconsin hosts Ohio State. I think Wisconsin will be able to pull off the upset this week. I think they'll be able to get to Terrell Pryor, and they're going to be able to confuse him back in the pocket. I think they'll be able to pull off a 27-23 win.
This game really concerns me. With all the upsets that happened last week, and Ohio State traveling to Wisconsin in the evening, that student section will be very loud in this game. But I really think that Ohio State will be aware because of the upsets that happened last week, and I think they can barely pull off a victory here.
Going on to our next game down in the SEC, undefeated Auburn takes on Arkansas. I've been real big on Ryan Mallett this year, and I think he's going to come through again for them in the clutch. I think they're going to win 31-28.
Like I said, Auburn's motto this year has been bend but don't break, and I think in this game they finally do break, and it'll be at home. It won't be pretty. I think Arkansas wins by a considerable margin.
In the Big 12, Nebraska hosts Texas. And I just think Nebraska is too dominant of a team. They've showed how good they are this year. I think they're going to prove their dominance. I think they're going to win 38-17.
Like I said, Nebraska will I think they'll come out in this game and they'll jump on them early and often, and I really don't think this game will be much of a matchup for very long, and I think Nebraska will win very easily.
Last game in the Big 10, Michigan takes on Iowa at the Big House. I think Michigan is going to be able to bounce back from their loss against Michigan State. I think Denard Robinson has a good game. I think they're going to win 31-27.
I think Michigan's a good team, but I do think that they were slightly overrated. They hadn't really played a whole lot of teams, and Michigan State kind of showed some flaws in Michigan's game plan, and I look for Iowa to exploit those same things and come away with a win at the Big House.
Moving on to the League Championship Series in MLB, we'll start in the National League. The Phillies will have the home field advantage for this series against the San Francisco Giants. Brian, what do you see happening?
In this game, I really think that the Phillies have been dominant these last month of the season and into the postseason. Their pitchers have just been amazing, and their hitters have been on, and so I really think that in this series, the Giants have good pitching too, don't get me wrong, but I really think that the Phillies have the better batters in this series, and I look for the Phillies to take it in 5.
Well, I agree. This is a matchup of pitching elites. I mean, there's 5 pitchers that are pitching in this series that could easily be number ones on any roster in the league. And so I think this is going to be pitching dominant. Whoever's able to scratch across 2 runs will be enough to win any game. But I think the Phillies will be able to take it in 6.
The other matchup in the ALCS is the Texas Rangers have the home field advantage against the New York Yankees. Austin, how do you think this series is going to play out?
Well, this is an interesting series. In the last 5 games the Yankees have played the Rangers this season, they were all at Texas. Texas taking 4 of them. But a lot of them were very close, decided right in the 9th inning. Mariano Rivera blew a save. Neftali Feliz blew a save. So it's been really close, but it's been really competitive. What I really don't know about is what's going to happen in those 3 games in New York. The only time that these teams played in New York this season was early in the season. The Rangers were not the team that they were. They were coming off a horrible loss in Cleveland and then a sweep in Boston, and they really weren't identifying with themselves. They didn't know what the heck was going on. And so I don't know if you can really take anything from that series to figure out what's going on. the Rangers have been playing better on the road, obviously, here against Tampa Bay, even though they struggled on the road in the late part of the season in September. So trying to figure out what's going on there, it's very confusing to try to pick this series, but I'll take the Rangers in 7.
I think this series is pretty cut and dry, actually. The Rangers have been able to knock around Mariano Rivera throughout most of the season, and that's really the Yankees' big game plan, is try to get to the 9th inning where he can come in. And I feel that if the Rangers can continue to hit him easily and cause him to blow saves, that they will be able to take this series in probably 6 games. I am worried about them, about having to play at home and trying to clinch Game 6 and 7 potentially at home, but I really think that they'll get the job done this time and they'll take this series in 6.
Well, for those of you that have been following us on Facebook, we had a contest recently to invite a guest, not celebrity, but a guest person to come and pick games with us one week. And so now, everybody who participated in that contest has been added into this little bowl, this tin right here. And now Brian is going to select one to come and join us on the show.
All right, before we draw, we would like to let you know that we do have a Facebook page, and if you get on and like it, we will have other contests. And you can just follow our page and to find out how to become entered in things such as this. So here we go. The winner
is Andy Melvin.
Andy Melvin. So we will get to him and we'll invite him to come on our show next week. So thank you all for watching. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week.